Chernobyl disaster and exponential functions.
The Chernobyl nuclear power plant was a nuclear power station near the city of Pripyat, Ukraine, and near the city of Chernobyl. During the Cold War, the USSR were trying to create a new and cheap source of power to feed the main energy spots they had, so they started creating that energy with nuclear plants. In 1986, and due to a malfunction of one of the turbines, the Chernobyl reactor exploded. This is known as the Chernobyl disaster. It was a catastrophic nuclear accident and happened as a result of a flawed reactor design, operated by inexperienced and bad trained personnel. This explosion released 5% of the reactor's core, resulting in a total of 14 EBQ of radioactivity. This explosion killed instantly 3 persons, and the radiation in a period of 4 months killed almost 28 people. Living in nearby cities was too dangerous due to radioactivity, so Pripyat, a small community of 12,000 inhabitants, had to be evacuated. Approximately 134 workers were hospitalized because of an acute radiation syndrome. After the accident, it was reported that almost 100,000 kilometers square of land was contaminated of the radiation the explosion released.
In the exponential functions, the variable is used as a power of the constant and is represented with the following formula. Fx equals 2 to x power. The domain will always be negative infinite to infinite, and the range 0 to infinite. The exponential functions apply in a lot of things in real life, like in the growth of population. If a couple decide to have babies, those babies will have babies, and so on. Another example in real life is when you are putting money into a saving account. The initial amount of money will be growing or going down depending on the initial rate. It can be explained with this before mentioned that the nuclear power is really dangerous because of its ability to make mass destructions and foreign consequences on Earth and everything that gets near. If we apply the exponential function into a Chernobyl disaster, it can be easily linked in 2 forms. Not only an exponential growth, but also the decay. A decay is how much time it takes to a substance to decrease by half. First of all the start of the accident. A series of chemical reactions occur inside the reactor causing the explosion. This uncontrolled division of atoms and crashing of electrons can be measured with an exponential function, while the degrees of radioactivity after many years of the accident can be identified with the term decay.
It hasn't been possible for the organizations to contain all the radiation released from the accident, because it literally expanded to all directions. It happened on Russia, and the particles go all the way through the United States. This radioactive cloud affected not only Russia but also the neighboring countries. Some consequences of that was radioactive intoxication, cancer, babies and animals were born with deformations, burns, and in extreme cases, death. Our solution is to build a dome over the reactor so the radiation cannot escape anymore.
What is exponential growth? A constant rate of growth applied to a continuously growing base over a period of time. What is the function and graph that models and represents it? In the exponential function, the variable is used as part of the constant and is represented by the following formula. Fx equals v exponent z. What is exponential decay? A quantity that decreases at a rate proportional to its current value. What are the implications of using nuclear energy? Using nuclear energy has its complications like radioactive waste, exposure to terrorist attacks, probability of happening an accident, and finally, that nuclear energy is a threat to incoming generations. Do you consider nuclear energy to be clean energy? The nuclear energy is a dangerous way of producing energy due to high consequences it can cause. Most of this energy comes from the uranium, which is a limited resource and will be available for another 30 or 40 years. After that, it will be only radioactive waste remaining in the earth. Are you aware that there is a nuclear energy plant in Mexico? Yes, we are aware there is a nuclear energy plant in Mexico. Where is it? The Laguna Verde nuclear power station is located in the coast of the Gulf of Mexico in Veracruz. Do you think it's safe? We are pretty sure it has safety measures. Nevertheless, having a 100% secure plant is impossible. There is always going to be a risk of an accident to occur. Do you agree with the fact that there is a nuclear energy plant in your country? Yes, there are 2 nuclear plants in Veracruz, Mexico. We don't think it's safe even though the government approves it. We believe that it affects the environment in a huge way. We do not agree because most of the ways that the nuclear plants are still unsolved, meaning that specialists don't know how to clean the waste. Also, according to the United States Environmental Protection Agency standards, it's impossible to build a 100% safe plant, which means that it can still happen accidents. But we also agree because sadly the nuclear energy is better than the other technologies, and with just one plant can reach large kilometers of energy.
Could the Chernobyl 1986 nuclear disaster have been prevented? How? The accident occurred while it was tested to determine the time period during which the plant would stay stable and continue to produce electricity after being shut down. The test was conducted in the middle of the night by an inexperienced crew while the control computer was disabled. This could have been prevented by having a more specialized crew and being prepared before running a test over something that big. Once the explosion happened, was there any way to stop the radiation spread and its pollution? The accident caused the largest uncontrolled radioactive release into the environment ever recorded for any civilian operation, and large quantities of radioactive substances were released into the air for about 10 days. Do you think that the radioactive pollution generated by this disaster reached Mexico? I don't believe it reached Mexico because of the research I did. It specified it was only in Europe. What are at least 4 environmental consequences in a global scale of the Chernobyl 1986 disaster? There was no fertile land for some fruits and vegetables. There was contaminated lakes and ponds and polluted air.
What are the environmental consequences in a global scale of other nuclear disasters and use of nuclear weapons? Decreased biodiversity, soil loss, overgrazing, fire. What do you think and feel about these consequences? We believe that accidents happen, but this is a very extreme one. We feel very pessimistic about the Chernobyl incident because of the many lives that were lost and also the amount of people that had to leave their homes and their heritage behind. We are also impressed that this happened in 1986 and today, 2017, people can still live there because of the amount of radiation that can cause health problems to people. Our proposal is just to follow the indications and the instructions of the government about this situation, to grab your loved ones and live. What will be a solution for proposal for this situation? That they should be more prepared before testing something this big and have better equipment so they can prevent these types of accidents. How did we feel working like this? Did we like it? Was it difficult? What did I like the most of working with my teammates in this one? Working like this was a little hard because we had to talk with people that are not in this campus, but it was really good experience to get to know new people and work with them. We did like it because it was a different project from the rest. What we liked the most was getting to know how people from other campus works and coming up with ideas to go to this project.